She walked with quiet confidence, a woman who had faced the worst the world had to offer. But today, the battle wasn't overseas. It was right in her own hometown. When a racist cop stops her, questioning her presence, he has no idea who he's dealing with. She's not just any woman. She's an FBI agent trained to handle danger. As the tension rises and a bystander starts recording, the officer realizes too late. He picked the wrong person to intimidate. The cobblestone streets of Lisbon, Portugal, gleamed under a thin sheen of rain as Naomi Carter pulled her jacket tighter against the evening chill. She'd come here on leave, her first real break in 6 years after dismantling a human trafficking ring in Eastern Europe. Lisbon wasn't Charleston, South Carolina, her hometown, but its narrow alleys and faded pastel buildings reminded her of the Low Country's charm. She'd always wanted to visit, to trace some distant family lore her grandmother used to whisper about, ancestors who'd crossed oceans centuries ago. This was supposed to be a respite, a chance to breathe. But trouble, it seemed, had a way of finding her no matter where she went. Naomi was halfway down Rua Augusta, the bustling pedestrian street now quieting as shops shuttered for the night, when she noticed the man. He was leaning against a lamppost, his navy uniform crisp despite the drizzle, his eyes tracking her with a precision she recognized from years of fieldwork. Local police. She kept her pace steady, her hands loose at her sides, her senses sharpening. She'd dealt with enough profiling back home. Cops who saw her dark skin and assumed she was out of place. A threat. A question mark. She'd hoped Europe might be different. Apparently not. "Boa noite," he said, stepping into her path. His tone was clipped, his Portuguese tinged with suspicion. "Identification, please." Naomi stopped, tilting her head slightly. "Good evening to you too," she replied in English, keeping her voice calm, measured. "I'm just walking. Is there a problem?" He frowned, clearly not expecting her fluency or her defiance. "Papers," he repeated, switching to heavily accented English. "Now." She studied him, mid-30s, broad-shouldered, with a jaw set like he was used to being obeyed. His badge read Official Tomás Almeida. She'd seen his type before. Brent Lawson back in Charleston came to mind. The cop who'd stopped her 3 years ago on Meeting Street, demanding ID while she was jogging, his hand twitching near his holster as if she might bolt. This Almeida wasn't much different. Same playbook. Assert dominance, assume guilt. "I'm an American tourist," she said, reaching slowly for her passport in her jacket pocket. "Here on vacation. That a crime in Lisbon?" He snatched the passport from her hand, flipping it open with a sneer. "Naomi Carter," he read aloud, his eyes flicking between her face and the photo. "FBI." He paused, his brow furrowing. "This is fake." "It's not," she said evenly. "Call your supervisor if you don't believe me, or the U.S. Embassy. They'll confirm it." His lip curled. "You think you can come here, throw around titles, and I'll just bow? I know your kind. Always acting like you own the place." "My kind," she echoed, her voice low but edged with steel. She'd heard that phrase too many times. On the streets of Charleston, in FBI briefing rooms where colleagues whispered behind her back. Even overseas, where locals assumed she was the hired help, not the lead agent. "Care to clarify that, Officer Almeida?" He stepped closer, his breath sour with coffee and cigarettes. "You don't belong here. I see it every day. People like you, thinking they can walk wherever they want. Take what's not theirs. I protect this city." Naomi didn't flinch. She'd faced down cartel enforcers, rogue spies, and bomb-wielding extremists. This guy? He was a bully with a badge, nothing more. "I'm not here to take anything," she said. "I'm just trying to enjoy my night. You're the one making this a problem." A few passers-by slowed, glancing their way. One, a young woman with a phone, started filming. Almeida noticed, his posture stiffening. "Put that away," he snapped at her. But she didn't budge, her camera steady. Naomi seized the moment. "You're on video now," she said quietly. "So let's keep this civil. Give me my passport back, and we both walk away." His eyes narrowed, but the shift in power was palpable. The crowd was growing. Tourists, locals, a street vendor pausing his cart to watch. Almeida's authority was slipping, and he knew it. With a muttered curse, he shoved the passport into her hand. "Get out of my sight," he growled. "Next time you won't be so lucky." Naomi tucked the passport away, meeting his glare with a cool nod. "Have a good night, officer." She turned and walked off, her heart steady despite the adrenaline humming in her veins. Strength wasn't about shouting or shoving. It was about knowing when to stand, when to move, and who you were when the dust settled. That should have been the end of it. A petty encounter, a footnote in her trip. But the next morning, as Naomi sipped coffee at a cafe overlooking the Tagus River, her phone buzzed. "Unknown number, local prefix," she answered. "Agent Carter?" The voice was male, clipped, professional. "This is Inspector João Mendes, Polícia Judiciária. We need to speak, urgently." Her instincts kicked in. The PJ was Portugal's equivalent of the FBI, serious players, not street cops. "What's this about?" "Not over the phone. Meet me at Praça do Comércio in 1 hour. Come alone." She hung up, her mind racing. Had Almeida filed some trumped-up complaint? No, the PJ wouldn't waste time on that. This was bigger. She finished her coffee, paid, and headed out, her vacation fading into the rear view. The square was alive with tourists and seagulls when she arrived, the yellow arches of the plaza framing the river beyond. Mendes was easy to spot. Tall, graying hair, a navy suit that screamed law enforcement. He approached, his expression grim. "Agent Carter, thank you for coming. We have a situation. One of our officers flagged your name last night after an altercation. When we ran it, your FBI credentials popped. We need your help." Naomi crossed her arms. "I'm on leave, and if this is about Officer Almeida, he's the one who overstepped." Mendes shook his head. "Not him, something else. 2 days ago, a body washed up near Belém Tower. Male, mid-40s, American. No ID, but forensics found a burner phone with one number dialed. Yours." Her stomach dropped. "Mine?" "Yes, we traced it. The call was made 3 days ago, but it didn't connect. We think he was trying to reach you." Naomi's mind spun. She hadn't received any calls from unknown numbers recently. Her phone would have logged it. Unless. Was the phone damaged? Could the call have failed to register? Possibly. Waterlogged. But we recovered the data. The man's prints aren't in any system, ours or Interpol's. He's a ghost. But you're not. Why would he have your number? "I don't know," she said, though unease was creeping in. She'd worked dozens of cases, undercover ops, informants, loose ends. Any one of them could have tracked her down. "What do you need from me?" "Unofficial assistance. You know American networks, methods. We don't have jurisdiction to dig stateside, but you do. Help us ID him, figure out why he's here, and why he's dead." She hesitated. This wasn't her fight. She'd come to Lisbon to escape the grind, not dive back in. But the thought of that call, someone reaching out, maybe in desperation, gnawed at her. And Almeida's words echoed, "You don't belong here." She'd prove she did, on her terms. "All right," she said. "I'm in, but I work my way, no babysitting." Mendes nodded. "Deal. Let's move." The investigation pulled Naomi into a labyrinth she hadn't anticipated. The body, stored in a morgue near the PJ headquarters, was a mess. Bloated, bruised, a single gunshot wound to the chest. No tattoos, no scars, nothing distinctive. Just a man in a cheap suit, his face erased by the river. The burner phone sat in an evidence bag, its cracked screen mocking her. She didn't recognize him, but the number tied to her felt like a tether to something she'd left behind. Mendes's team had already canvassed the docks near Belém. No witnesses, no cameras catching the drop. Naomi suggested checking shipping manifests. Lisbon was a port city, a hub for trade and smuggling. If this guy was American, he might have come in under the radar. Mendes agreed, and by nightfall, they had a lead. A cargo ship from Charleston had docked 4 days ago, offloading crates listed as industrial parts, suspiciously vague. "Could be a coincidence," Mendes said, as they pored over the documents in his cramped office. "Charleston's your home, yes?" "Yeah," Naomi replied, her voice tight. "And I don't believe in coincidences." She called a contact at the FBI's Charleston field office, Agent Marcus Tate, a friend from her early days. "Marcus, I need a favor. Run the ship's crew and cargo through our system. Quietly." "Naomi, you're supposed to be on vacation," he teased, but his tone sobered when she explained. "All right, give me a few hours." While they waited, Naomi and Mendes hit the streets. The docks were a maze of rusted containers and flickering lights, the air thick with salt and diesel. She moved like she belonged, confident, unobtrusive, while Mendes hung back, letting her take the lead. A dock worker, bribed with a few euros, pointed them to a warehouse where the ship's crates had been stored. Inside, they found nothing but machine parts, legit, at least on the surface. But Naomi's gut screamed otherwise. Her phone rang as they exited. "Marcus. Got something. One of the crew, James Ridley, has a record, low-level smuggling, released last year. And the ship? It's owned by a shell company linked to a guy we've been watching. Victor Grayson." Naomi froze. Grayson, a Charleston businessman with rumored ties to everything from drugs to arms. She'd brushed up against his orbit years ago, shutting down one of his couriers, but never got close enough to nail him. "What's he moving now?" "Unclear," Marcus said. "But Ridley's in Lisbon, left the ship and hasn't checked in with customs. You think your dead guy's connected?" "Maybe," she said. "Thanks, Marcus. Keep this off the books for now." She briefed Mendes. Ridley was their thread. If he was Grayson's man, the dead guy might have been too. A deal gone wrong, a loose end tied off. They tracked Ridley to a seedy bar in Alfama, Lisbon's old quarter. Naomi went in alone, blending into the dim haze of smoke and laughter. Ridley was there, lanky, nervous, nursing a beer. She sat 2 stools down, ordering a drink, watching him fidget. Then it happened. Ridley glanced at her, did a double take and bolted. Naomi cursed, chasing him through the bar's back door into a warren of alleys. He was fast, but she was faster. Years of training kicking in. She tackled him against a wall, pinning his arm. "Who's the dead guy?" she demanded. "Why'd he have my number?" "I don't know," Ridley gasped. I just moved the stuff. Crates, whatever they tell me. Some Americans showed up, started asking questions. Grayson's people didn't like it. Grayson ordered the hit? I didn't see it. I swear. Just heard he's cleaning house. You're on his list too, that's all I know. She let him go, stepping back as he scrambled away. Her pulse pounded. Grayson knew her. Had known her for years, maybe since that courier bust. The dead man was a warning, or a lure. And she'd walked right into it. The next day, Naomi met Mendes at the PJ station. She laid it out. Grayson, the ship, Ridley's confession. He's tying up loose ends, she said. I'm one of them. Mendes rubbed his chin. We can't touch Grayson. He's in the States. But if he's operating here, we can disrupt him. Shut down his network. And Almeida? She asked. He's small time, but he's got it in for me. Could tip Grayson's people off. I'll handle him, Mendes promised. He's already on thin ice after last night's stunt. They devised a plan. Bait Grayson's operation with a fake shipment, lure his enforcers out, and take them down. Naomi coordinated with Marcus stateside, feeding intel to cripple Grayson's US end. It was risky. Her leave was over in days, and she was wading deeper into a fight she hadn't started. But she couldn't walk away. Not now. The sting went off that night at the docks. Naomi posed as a buyer, her cover tight, her gun concealed. Grayson's men arrived, 3 of them, armed and twitchy. The PJ swooped in, gunfire erupting as crates toppled. Naomi took down one, Mendes another. The third surrendered, spilling names, dates, routes. It wasn't Grayson himself, but it was enough to choke his Lisbon pipeline. As dawn broke, Naomi stood by the river, the city waking around her. Mendes approached. You saved us months of work, Agent Carter. If you ever tire of the FBI, we could use you here. She smiled faintly. Tempting, but I've got unfinished business back home. He nodded. Grayson? Among other things. She flew out the next day, the dead man's face still a mystery, Grayson's shadow looming larger than ever. Almeida was suspended, Ridley in custody, and the PJ had a fighting chance. It wasn't a clean win. Prejudice and power didn't vanish with a single bust, but it was a start. Naomi knew the war wasn't over. It never would be. But as the plane climbed over the Atlantic, she felt the weight of her own strength, unshakable, carrying her forward. Back in Charleston, she'd face Grayson, the ghosts of her past, and the streets that shaped her. For now, though, she closed her eyes, letting the hum of the engines drown out the questions. Who was the dead man? Why her? The answers would come. They always did.